Dear adjudicators, debaters, and fellow committees, welcome to the technical meeting of 2024 Maitreya Debating Championship. Thank you for joining us. I am Melissa as the MC for this event. We would like to express our gratitude towards Sun Education, Toko Indra Pratama, Xiamen University Malaysia, Central International Education, PT Standard Automotive Perkasa, PT Desain Aksesoris Nusantara, PT Sri Indah Lestari, Universitas Pelita Harapan, Universitas Bina Nusantara, Taylor's University, Icahn Education, Universitas Tarumanegara, Education Republic, Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, for the generous fund and support towards this event. Before we begin the technical meeting for the 2024 Mxdc, we have an important announcement for all participants. Our Teber, Ka Andre, has already sent a private URL to everyone's email. Please check both your inbox and spam folder for this email. If you have not received the email, kindly contact Ka Andre through his private number. We'll also share his contact information in the 2024 Mxdc participants group chat. Thank you. We shall now proceed to the technical meeting, which will be conducted by Fiona. Please note that the Q&A session will take place at the end of the presentation. So Fiona, the floor is yours. Technician, please share the presentation.
Hey, hello everyone. Can anyone confirm if my voice is audible?
Yes, your voice is audible.
Hey, thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Yona, Head Committee of 2024 Mxdc. We are so honored to have everyone on board. Unfortunately, our CAP, Mr. Rivaldo and Ka Justin, are unable to attend today's technical meeting due to personal schedules. They would like everyone to know how much they wish they could attend and send everyone their best wishes for the weekend. That said, the ORCOM, represented by me, will be leading the briefing today, and we'll try our best to bring you the information the CAP would like you to know. That said, let's start on the first topic, speaker order and speaker roles. An Asian parliamentary debate is divided into two sides, the governing and the opposing side. The government supports the motion given and the opposition opposes the motion. On the government side, we have Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Government Whip, and Government Reply. On the opposition side, we have Leader of Opposition, Deputy Leader of Opposition, Opposition Whip, and Opposition Reply. The arrow signifies the flow of the debate, from PM to the LO, Deputy Prime Minister to the DLO, and to the Government Whip, the Opposition Whip to Opposition Reply, and lastly, to end the debate, the Government Reply. The first speaker of both teams are the foundation to the debate and their own team. The Prime Minister is the first speaker of the government side. Their role is to introduce the definition and provide a link to the motion, introduce the case and the government team, introduce substantive materials, and the Leader of Opposition is the first speaker of the opposition side. Their role is to accept or reject their definition, rebut the points from the Prime Minister, introduce the case of the opposition team, and lastly, introduce substantive materials. The second speaker are called the deputies. The Deputy Prime Minister is the second speaker of the government side. Their role is to rebut the points of the Leader of Opposition, support the arguments of the Prime Minister, introduce substantive materials. The Deputy Leader of Opposition is the second speaker of the opposition side. Their role is to rebut the points of the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, support the arguments of the Leader of Opposition, and lastly, introduce substantive materials. The third speaker are called the whips. The third speaker from both sides serves the same role, which is to summarize the debate, defend and support the points of their side, and lastly, introduce fresh examples and rebuttals, even analysis that can be logically derived from the team existing substantive materials. Lastly, a debate ends with reply speakers. They can only be done by the first and second speaker of each team. It can differ for each round. The team can decide who does the reply. The frequently asked question on reply speaker is that how does the judge, opponent, or the committee know who will be doing the reply if it differs each round, which I'll explain later in the briefing. Reply speaker have no prescribed structure. However, the usual roles will be summarizing the debate as a whole and stating the reasons why the respective teams should win the debate. Now we're going to talk about substantive speeches. The first, second, and third speakers' speeches are called the substantive speeches and are delivered within 7 minutes of duration with a compensation of 20 seconds. So the total duration that they can talk is 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And the time starts from the first word spoken by the speaker. This is why it's very important for each debater to do a countdown before starting their speech. I will explain about this more in later slides, and there will be also bell rings to mark the duration of every speech. So if you look at the visualization, one bell ring will be heard from your first minute mark to signify that POI is opened. The second one bell ring will tell you that you have reached the 6 minutes mark, signifying that the POI is closed. On your seventh minute, the bell will ring twice, but you are allowed to continue for another 20 seconds, and the bell will ring twice again once you have reached 7:20, signifying that your time is up and you have to wrap up your speech. If the speaker exceeds the minutes of 7 minutes and 20 seconds mark, penalty up to the deduction of points are applicable, and the judges or LOs have the right to stop your speech. Second, we're going to talk about the reply speakers. The reply speaker summarizes the debate and convinces the judges in 4 minutes with a compensation of 20 seconds. So 4 minutes and 20 seconds. No POI is allowed during the replies. There'll be one bell ring during the first and the third minute mark, two bell rings in the fourth minute, and when you have reached 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Just like the substantive speeches, if a reply speech exceeds the 4 minutes and 20 seconds mark, penalties up to the deduction of points are applicable, and the judges or LOs have all the right to stop your speech. Now we're going to talk about POI or point of information, which I've talked about on the previous slides. It is when the opposing team quote unquote interrupts their speaking opponent. They can ask questions, do clarification, and rebut their opponent's arguments straight away. A POI is only allowed between the first to the 6th minute mark of their opponent's speech, hence the bells in the timer, and not allowed during reply speeches. Next, we're going to talk about the judges' scoring criteria. I do want to emphasize that I have no judging experience as an individual, and so I will be running you through the scores that the judges will be using to grade the speakers during 2024 MXDC. We will definitely inform everyone in the group chat after the technical meeting if the CAP have anything to add regarding this section. So, in the Asian parliamentary format, we have 83 as the highest score that the judges can give. As you can see, there are also description in every scores, and I won't be reading it to save time, but I will be giving everyone a few seconds to read. This table is also provided in our guidebook. This slide will also be shared through the group chat, so do not worry if you miss any slides. So below 82 will be 82, 81, 80, 79, and I'll be continuing to the next slide in 3, 2, 1. Next, we have the score 78 to 74, with 75 as the known average score of an Asian parliamentary debate. We'll go to the next slide in 3, 2, 1. Here's the score 73 to 70. The next slide in 3, 2, 1. Last but not least, we have 79 until 69, until 67, with the 67 as the lowest score. Next slide in 3, 2, 1. Now, we're going to talk about the schedule of 2024 MXDC. The debate rounds of 2024 MXDC will be divided into 2 days. First, the preliminary rounds on the 24th, which is tomorrow, and participated by all registered participants or teams, and elimination round on the 25th, and participated by only the breaking teams that will be announced after all preliminary rounds, which is at the end of tomorrow's competition. Note that the rundown shown in the technical meeting slides are written in Waktu Indonesia Barat or GMT+7. Hence, we highly encourage everyone to access the live rundown to our website mxdc.card.co or mxdc.carrd.co. Once again, to save time, I won't be reading specific times one by one, but we will start with an online check-in. During this time, the Zoom building will be already opened, so everyone is expected to wait in the waiting room because we will have a roll call at 8 o'clock until 8:15. After the roll call, then we will proceed to round one. There will be a 30 minutes prep time or case building time for every round. On this year's MXDC, the CAP have prepared PDA or post-debate analysis analyzing the motion of the previous rounds. PDAs are provided after round 1 and 3 only. Hence, there would be no PDA after round 2 and 4. After the PDA, we'll proceed to round 2, and then lunch break, and then another roll call to make sure that everyone is back with their tummy filled and ready for the next round. Here we will proceed to the round 3, and then after round 3, just like what I've stated before, we will have another PDA done by the CAP, and then we will proceed to round 4. After that, we will have a short buffer, and then the breaking announcement to close off day 2 of 2024 MXDC. And then we will proceed to the elimination rounds on the 25th that are held with the same flow with preliminaries. We will have a check-in online through your private URLs. We'll have a roll call to make sure that everyone is complete and ready for the elimination rounds. And then we'll proceed to the elimination rounds, starting with the Open Octo Finals. After the Open Octo Finals, we have a buffer. After that, we will proceed to Open Quarterfinals and U16 Press Semifinals that will be done on the same time. We'll have a lunch break and then a breaking announcement after the lunch break for the Open Quarterfinals and the U16 Press Semifinals. After that, we will proceed to the semifinals of U16 and the Open, and on the same time, another announcement, and finally, Open and U16 Grand Finals. To close off 2024 MXDC as a whole, we will do an awarding ceremony to announce the winners of 2024 MXDC. Once again, live rundown accessible through our website mxdc.card.co. Next, we're going to talk about navigating tabs. In every round, the JAWS will be accessible through the link shared or the tab and accessible via your private URL. When you have received the tabs and you have seen the draws, please take notes of first your position, whether you are in the government side or the opposition side, and second your room number because it determines which breakout room you will be going to do your debate. And then we have private URL, which will be sent via email. Text the tab director or Ka Andre if you have not received yours. The private URLs will be used to first check in every morning to indicate your attendance, but second, to submit judge feedbacks to your chair adjudicator every round. Private URLs will display your team's allocation, position plus room number. Lastly, do not share this or your private URL to anyone because it is strictly confidential to you only. Now on to the submitting feedbacks. All teams are highly encouraged to submit feedbacks for your judges. The purpose of the feedbacks is to evaluate the quality of your judge's judgment based on their oral education delivered during the previous round. One representative of the team will be submitting the feedbacks instead of every member. Hence, we really expect all members of a team to discuss first how is the judge's quality of their judgment before submitting the feedback. And then every participants or team are expected to be objective. Please do not give the judges high score because you win or low because you lost. And let us know in detail in the comment section what you think of the judgment. Lastly, all feedbacks will be confidential only to the CIP and TAP team, so they will be the only ones that knows what you have submitted. Next, we'll be talking about the general rules of 2024 MXDC. Okay. First, we're going to talk about the check-in. This has been explained in the few slides before, but check-in is done through a private URL which will be shared via email. If you have yet to receive your private URL, please contact our TAP director, Ka-Andre. Each individual is required to check in and not represented by their team. Check-in is only done once in the morning before the competition start as opposed to every round. Hence, if you are a breaking team, you will do another check-in on the 25th. Check-in must be done on time before the competition start, and failure to check in and attend the competition on time will result in disqualification. During the preliminary and elimination round, debaters, observers, and adjudicators are expected to rename themselves according to the shown format. First, debaters are expected to rename round underscore chamber underscore team name based on their TAP team name and underscore their name. Second, observers are expected to rename themselves as observers underscore institution underscore their real name, emphasizing on their real name. And lastly, adjudicators are expected to rename themselves as judge underscore name. To ensure a safe and comfortable environment for the debaters, considering that 2024 MXDC is a high school competition with minors as participants, we strictly limit the observers to be only from any registered institution only. So, if your institution did not register in 2024 MXDC, you are not allowed to observe, and you have to rename yourself as an observer if you're from the same institution from the following format. The next two slides will guide you on how to rename yourself in the Zoom. This is the slide number 1 to guide you on how to rename your Zoom account. Next slide in 3, 2, 1. This is slide number 2 to explain how to rename your Zoom. Next slide in 3, 2, 1. Alright, next we'll talk about the internet technicalities. Considering that MXDC is a fully online competition, we understand that there will be internet issues. Hence, if a participant disconnects from the Zoom room, the debate round will be paused for a maximum time of 5 minutes. Please inform the participants' WhatsApp group chat if there are any connection problem within your team so we are notified and we can wait. If an adjudicator instead is disconnected, please wait for them to reconnect. In a condition where it takes longer than expected for the adjudicators to reconnect, please contact the committee in the WhatsApp group chat. Next, we'll talk about the breaking rules of 2024 MXDC. Our competition consists of two breaking categories. First, open category and U16 category. To assume a high quality and competitive pool, participants will not be allowed to choose their breaking category. Breaking position will be based on the following priority. This means if a U16 team reaches enough score to break open, they will break open. On the end of four preliminary rounds, a total of 22 teams will proceed to the elimination round. The top 16 breaking teams in the open category will proceed to the open octofinals, with 6 teams eligible for the U16 category breaking. Top 2 breaking teams from the U16 will immediately participate in the U16 semifinals, and breaking third to 6 will participate in the pre-semifinals. Next, we'll talk about the prohibitions, things that you cannot do during your time in the competition. Participants are highly restricted and not allowed to do any web searching, Googling, or researching during the case building procedure as well as when the debate are ongoing. Looking up information throughout these times will be acknowledged as the act of cheating, and the adjudicators will not count any materials that are highly suspected to be acquired from cheating. Next, we'll talk about the liaison officer of RDLOs. There will be one liaison officer for each chamber. LO serves to provide guidance in the debate. They will first initiate the debate after the case bilang time is over. Second, they'll provide the timer for each participant, but we highly encourage the participant to also prepare their own timer. Third, they will welcome the next speaker after another is done with their speech. And lastly, they will conclude the debate. To make sure that all LOs are informed with when the speaker starts or ends their speech, hence the accuracy of the timer itself, all debaters are expected to first state their POI preference and pronouns if you have any, whether you want your POI to be given through the chat box or you want it to be unmuted. And then second, you are expected to do a countdown before starting your speech. This can look like I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. And lastly, say closing line to conclude your speech. This can look like so proud to oppose or propose, thank you, and etc. To make sure both LOs and judges are well informed of your speaker position, every LOs will ask both government and opposition team to fill in their speaker position through the Zoom chat box during the keys billing time. All teams are expected to submit their speaker position during the keys bidding time, not less than 10 minutes before the debate starts. This means that speakers' position are not permanent, it can differ for each round. Next, we're going to talk about the iron policy. This policy lets available speakers within the same team to play a double role in doing speeches if a speaker from their team is unable to deliver a speech. For example, they're late, they have internet issue, they disconnected, laggy, they're sick, and etc. Second, this policy is only available in the preliminary rounds and not applicable in the elimination rounds. Third, this the absent speaker will receive a speaker score of 69, and the one Iron Manning speaker will receive only one score, the highest score of these two speeches they gave.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Following the presentation, we anticipate that participants may have questions. Therefore, the Q&A session is now open. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box using the format name_question. Alternatively, if you prefer to ask verbally, please raise your hand before you ask.
Before we accept any questions, first, the ORCOM would like to emphasize that due to the absence of our CAP, Mr. Rifaldo and Ka Justin, the ORCOM will put specific questions on hold and not answer it right away in this technical meeting. If that is the case to your question, that means that the ORCOM would like to avoid any forms of misunderstanding of or misinformation. Hence, we will forward the questions to the CAP and get back to the participants group chat with answers from the CAP itself. But of course, we will answer questions of which we know the correctness of the answers. Two, all questions and answers will be listed and sent to the group chat after the competition. Okay, we have a question right now in the chat box. Najwa asks, what is the maximum time for first and second speaker? As stated in the slides before, the maximum time for first and second and third speaker are 7 minutes with a compensation of 20 seconds. That means that a speaker can speak for 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, Kim asked, let us say in the past debate practices, we already researched something and put it on our notes. Can we use it? Yes, you may use printed materials or things that you have already known before this competition, but you are not allowed to research the materials or anything during the case bidding time and the competition. For example, you Google a definition or you Google a happening that is currently happening in the world and details of it. Kenzie asks, are there any rules regarding accepting POI, such as a speaker needs to answer at least one POI per speech? A POI is not mandatory, but it is very, very highly encouraged for participants to at least accept one POI per their speech to increase engagement because the judges will also consider additional points if applicable. Kyla asks, are we allowed to do research online during the case bidding session? No, you are not allowed to research online during the case bidding session. And that will be considered cheating as explained in the previous slides. Rafa asks, will there be a summary of this technical meeting? Yes, we will provide a recording of the technical meeting. The slides will also be shared in the group chat, as well as all the questions that have been asked, as well as as the answers. We will share it to the participants group chat after the technical meeting. Naira asks, hi committee, may I know the post-debate feedback system for the attorney? Will the committee give us the adjudicator's contact option? Thanks in advance. Yes, we will be providing the all IA's contact options, the platform they're preferred in for participants to give OAs after each round. And we will send it tonight or tomorrow morning after the first round. Tony from Tapga asks, are we allowed to do the debate as a team from one device? Yes, absolutely. You're allowed to use one device for three members of one team, but please rename your Zoom as all the names of your members in one team so that we know that all of your members are using one device and not only one participant or one member. Adi asks, for the case build, are we allowed to do it on Google Docs or strictly only on paper? Yes, you are allowed to use it on Google Docs, or if you prefer, you can also do it on paper. So it is totally up to the participants, however they're convenient with. Gracia asks, are we allowed to switch speaker roles in the middle of debate rounds given that we have already registered ourselves and roles on the G form? Will it be possible to change? Yes, absolutely. So before each debate rounds, the LO of each speakers will ask for your speaker position. Every LO will ask for their speaker position of each team, and so every team are allowed to change their speaker roles. For example, in round one, for example, you are speaker number one, and then on the second round, you are allowed to change on the speaker number two. That is totally fine. Since motions are impromptu, may I ask what general topic is from preparation purposes? We Unfortunately, we cannot disclose the general topics, but usually a debate covers a wide range of topics. For example, it can range from politics, from law, from sports, from, for example, trends, and then economy, and etc. Eric asked, hello, are we allowed to ask questions regarding the motion before the case meeting time? Yes, you're definitely allowed to ask questions because the CAP that will be sharing the motion or launching the motion later, they will give you time, a few minutes for you to ask the questions from the chat box or unmute yourself as long as you raise your hand. But if there are too many questions for a motion or a context of a motion before the debate round starts, you will be allocated or reallocated to the WhatsApp group chat for you to ask there, and the CAP will answer it through the group chat. Just ask if we do it on Google Docs, are we allowed to have another device to write on? Yes, definitely. Kenzie asks, can we look at our notes digitally or physically when we're delivering our arguments or debates? Yes, you're allowed to look at your paper or your Google Docs when you are debating. It is totally fine. Philip asked, is there any motion preference or is it fixed for every round? There is no motion preference for each round, and every motion is fixed for each round. So, before a motion starts, we'll launch one impromptu motion, and everyone should use that motion for the debates. Darlene asks, we have not received the private URL yet. Can we request for Mr. Andre's contact? Yes, definitely. We will share Mr. Andre's contact, or Mr. Andre himself will contact the group chat later, so you guys will have his contact later on. Okay, we see some Participants that have raised their hands can Phyla from SGIA, unmute yourself and you may ask.
Okay, hi. So I have two questions. The first question is, can you please elaborate more on the preliminary and elimination round? And my second question is, do you have any regulations regarding personal pronouns in the debate? Okay, thank you. That is my question.
Okay, can we confirm on which part of the preliminary and elimination would you like us to elaborate? Like, is
How
it the schedule or the amount of the rounds?
the amounts of teams who are qualified, and if we are not qualified for the elimination, for example, do we still need to attend the debate?
All right. For the first part, which is the preliminary round, sorry, all registered teams will be debating in four preliminary rounds on the first day. But on the second day, we'll have only the breaking teams that will be attending the elimination round. So on the first day, everyone will attend. On the second day, only specific teams that have breaks that will attend. Does that answer your first question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, on the second question, can you repeat it, please?
Is there any regulations regarding personal pronouns?
There will be no regulation on personal pronouns. Before you start your debate, you are allowed to tell everyone your personal pronouns if you want. Maybe, for example, my personal
Uh,
pronouns are she or her. Sorry?
uh, can I elaborate my question more?
Yes, yes, sure.
The I guess the debate format that my school is more familiar with is MUN, and in MUN you cannot refer to yourself as, for example, I, and you cannot refer other people as you, or for yeah, like we cannot use that. So is there any regulations regarding that, or is it allowed?
Yes, it's definitely allowed on MXDC and Asian parliamentary formats. You may refer yourself as I, you, she, they for other people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question from Abian for Dua Tangsel A. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Right, I'd like to ask a question regarding the under 16 and open breaking categories.
All right.
Um, Specifically about if an under six, do they have separate registrations or under 16 teams can qualify for open breaking?
Okay, so the under 16 category is provided to give more chances to debaters under 16 years old to, for example, break or participate in the elimination rounds. There are no separate registration for the U16 because on the initial registration form, we have asked for your date of birth, right? So from your day of birth, we can determine whether you are a U16 participant or not. Hence, there's no separate registration provided. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. And then lastly, there's another person who have not renamed themselves with the format that have their hands raised. Do you still have a question to ask? Okay, I assume no. Okay, there's another question. Adi, also when are the list of the U16 and open? Yes, it is. It will be given today through our tab. It will be accessible in a short while, and you can see who are the U16 teams, who are the U16 speakers, and who are open. Okay, Dennis Suara asks, if there is a team consisting of two U16 members and a 16 years old, will the team be considered as the U16 team? The answer is no. A U16 team can only A team can only be considered a U16 if all members from their team are below 16 years old. So even if there's one person that is above 16 years old, they're already considered as an open team and not eligible to break in the U16 category. Kim asks, are there penalties if we're being late? Of course, there are penalties if you are late for very long, then high chance you will be disqualified from the competition. But on the roll call, if you are late for a few minutes, we will give you a compensation of a few minutes if you have a reason, for example, technical issues or things in common. Okay, has the private URL been sent to the team? If we haven't got the private URL, where can we contact you? The private URL should be sent by now, but if you have not received, Ka Andre will text on the group chat and you can confirm it to him right away later. Okay, thank you, Ka Andre. Okay, let's say that it is our turn to speak up in a debate. How long is silent before we can speak up? It is very, very expected and encouraged for every debater to start once their time is once the LO have already welcomed them because it's their turn. But if you have any technical issues or things in common, if you have any technical issues, the people in the chamber will wait you for up to 5 minutes. But if it is only by choice, for example, you can unmute, but you choose not to, you will want, it is not allowed to do so. Are there any more questions? We'll be waiting until 10:15. Thank you, everyone. All right, there's another question regarding the POI. What is the duration of the POI and how many can we deliver in one round? The duration of the POI is preferably below 15 seconds for each opponents to POI your opposing team, sorry. And how many can we deliver in one round? Each speakers are expected to accept at least one, and one is the most preferable amount because you have to deliver other parts of your speech. But you can also accept two, but three is usually considered as already too much POIs in one speech. Okay, Tony from Tapga asks, is it allowed to POI reply speakers? Sorry. You're not allowed to POI reply speakers. POI are only applicable in first, second, and third speaker, which are the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Government Whip, as well as LO or Leader of Opposition, Deputy Leader of Opposition, and Opposition Whip. Reply speakers are not allowed to be POI'd. Yeah. Okay, Tony asked, are we in trouble when we cannot reach maximal speech 7 minutes during the debate? So it is very expected for every speakers to reach until 7 or in a minimum of 6 minutes. Below that will be considered under time, and under time speeches will have the risk of having the deduction of points. So it is very, very encouraged for you to reach 7 or at least 6. Yep, definitely. You can POI in the middle of first minute and the 6 minute of the substantive speakers, which is the first, second, and third speakers. On the reply speech, you're not allowed to POI. Does that answer your question? If it is not, then we can go back to the previous slide regarding POIs. Hence, we will re-explain it to everyone.
Okay, it's 1:16 right now. Due to time constraints, we will now conclude the Q&A session. For those who have additional questions, please feel free to approach one of our committee members, and we'll do our best to assist you with your inquiries. Thank you for your understanding. We'll now proceed to the next item on our agenda, We'll invite Fiona once again to explain the equity policies for the 2024 Mxdc. So Fiona, the time is yours. Technician, please share the presentation.
Okay, hello everyone. The last agenda on our technical meeting will be the equity briefing. The aim of equity policies are to prevent any discriminatory remarks from infringing one's right to ensure a safe and comfortable environment throughout the competition. The equity policy is implemented during the entire competition and applies to every participant, including but not limited to debaters, adjudicators, committees, observers, and etc. During the tournament, equity report can be made by anyone, including but not limited to debaters, adjudicators, core adjudicators, members of the committee, top team, observers, and lastly, members of the equity team. Here are some prohibition of discriminatory conduct of 2024 MXDC. It is including but not limited to bullying or ragging, direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, violence, harassment, sexual harassment, victimization, and lastly, vilification. Here are some protected attributes of the equity of 2024 MXDC. It is included but not limit it is including but not limited to age or age group, culture, identity, and status, medical condition and disabilities, political ideologies or affiliation, sexual orientation, personal background that includes race, color, and origin, English proficiency, including their accent, and etc. The code of conduct of the equity team of 2024 MXDC is to always be respectful to others. This means do not take any pictures or record anyone without consent. Be very mindful with the choice of words to prevent generalization. Use politically correct terms. Use trigger warnings for sensitive topics. For example, before you start your debate, if you feel like your debate will contain sensitive topics, please say, for example, trigger warning before I start my debate or my speech because it will contain this and this. And lastly, do not misuse images or platforms to offend others. Complainants are open to file reports of equity violations and will directly be investigated by the 2024 MXDC equity team. The link will be bit.ly/2024 MXDC equity form. Equity reports can be submitted anonymously. It requires details of the equity violations and how the party wishes the report to be handled. Equity reports can be withdrawn at any point. Before I continue, please do not use the annotation of the share screen because it'll disrupt the flow. Should there be any equity violations, equity officers may first investigate violations with all involved parties. Second, issue a public warning. Third, request for apology, whether it's public or private, and recommend suspension from the competition for severe cases of violation. And lastly, recommend other appropriate solutions. So there be any problems faced by the participants or adjudicators, please contact these numbers below.
Okay, so that concludes our meeting for today. Once more, we extend our gratitude to Fiona and all the participants for attending 2024 MXDC's technical meeting. A reminder to everyone that tomorrow's meeting will start at 7:30 a.m. with free registration through the private link available from 7 a.m. till 7:30 a.m. We kindly request everyone to be present on time, as latecomers will be dismissed from the competition. We hope that you share our enthusiasm for the preliminary rounds. Thank you and see you.